We live in a time where it's cool to be evil. And if you are speaking the truth, then you are considered lethal. Dang. Please do not let them deceive you. The Most High is coming back soon with vengeance and wrath for the evil. I do not care if they kill me. You see, 'cause my soul is immortal. The money and gold not important. The Most High restoring the order. I pray for your sons and your daughter. For real.
Hey, what's good, fam? So today I wanted to talk about Israelite concepts. As we read through the scriptures, specific concepts and understanding is necessary. It's necessary to understand the word of the Most High, especially where we are now in time, because of all the deceptions. And so I wanted to get into that. Before I get into it, though, I just want to read over this passage in 1 Corinthians chapter 2. Okay. So here it says, verse 13, "These things we also speak, not in words which man's wisdom teaches, but which the Ruach HaKodesh teaches, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. But the natural man," okay, the carnal man, "does not receive the things of the Ruach of Elohim, for they are foolishness to him, nor can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned." Okay, so the carnal mind does not understand things of the Ruach, and so something is happening to us in which I'm sure people can relate to this, but as the Most High reveals more to us, we understand more truth. As we understand more truth, we are being alienated from those with carnal minds. And so it can be lonely, because the truth separates, and you end up being somewhat isolated, at least in thought and discernment and understanding. So just as the scripture's saying right now. But anyway, so I'm gonna take a look at these concepts, and then I'll talk about it a little bit more after this too. Okay, so Revelation 9:6. Okay, so alright, so here we're in the trumpets, and this is during the 5th trumpet that's been sounded. Okay, so verse 6 says, "In those days men will seek death and will not find it. They will desire to die, and death will flee from them." Okay, so this passage is telling you that there's going to come a point where humans will not be able to die. And if you're following things like CRISPR and nanotechnology, it may not be a surprise to you, but for most people, if you told someone that, that could be hard to accept. Okay, so men will eventually get to a point where they will have power over death. Dragons exist and have existed, most notably Leviathan, as well as other hybrid creatures. Okay, so I'll start in Job 41. Okay, so Job 41 goes over, it gives a detailed description of Leviathan. Okay, I would recommend that you go back and read this whole chapter if you haven't, But I'll start in verse 12 here. And this is the Most High speaking with Job. It says, I will not conceal his limbs, his mighty power, or his graceful proportions. Who can remove his outer coat? Who can approach him with a double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? With his terrible teeth all around, his rows of scales are his pride. Okay, so he has scales, shut up tightly as with a seal. One is so near another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They stick together and cannot be parted. His sneezings flash forth light, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lights. Sparks of fire shoot out. Smoke goes out of his nostrils, as from a boiling pot, and burning rushes. His breath kindles coals, and a flame goes out of his mouth. Strength dwells in his neck, and sorrow dances before him. The folds of his flesh are joined together. They are firm on him and cannot be moved. His heart is as hard as stone. Okay, so whatever this is, Leviathan clearly breathes fire, right? The fire shoots out of his mouth and out of his nose. Earlier here, let's see. Okay, so here it says, can you draw out Leviathan with a hook, or snare his tongue with a line which you lower? All right, so here is showing you that he is associated to water. Okay, can you fill his skin with harpoons, right? This is a sea dragon. This is what we would consider a sea dragon today. How many people can you talk to about this? Right? So, I mean, this is scripture, right? This is Job, one of the 66 books of the Eurocentric canon. But let's continue. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to go to the KJV. And just do a search for the word dragons. Maybe I should just do dragon. Well, we'll see what comes up. Okay, so I'm sure that some of these may be symbolic, but all of them, their wine is the poison of dragons, their cruel venom of As. Okay. Thou didst divide the sea by thy strength, thou breakest the heads of the dragons in the waters. Praise Yah from the earth, ye dragons and all deeps. Okay, so these things have, this term was changed in various translations, okay? But clearly, dragons comes up through scripture. Okay. Let's take a look at the word satyr. Did I spell it right? Okay, so Isaiah 13, but wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. Later on, another chapter of Isaiah, the wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow. The screech owl also shall rest there and find for herself a place of rest. But two places, okay, in scripture by the prophet Isaiah, he's bringing up satyrs. Okay, this is that's what we would consider a fawn today. I think some people might be familiar with that word. Right, so this is a hybrid creature, half human and part animal. In this case, it's part goat, I believe. Looks like a goat. I think he's dancing with a goat there. Anyway, I don't want to click on images. I'm not really sure what's going to come up. But this is clearly a hybrid creature that is being brought up in Scripture. Okay, let me check out 2 Samuel 23. I'll stay in the KJV for now. Okay, verse 20. And Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done many acts, he slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. He went down also and slew a lion in the midst of a pit in time of snow. Okay, so he killed 2 hybrids. And these hybrids, they even have the lineage, or at least the region. And I'm really glad that he followed this up with, here he killed a lion, so that we have a comparison. So we understand by this statement that, who was this? That Samuel understood he understood that we understand that there's a term for the word lion, okay, and there is a different term here, okay, so we know that it's not some sort of typo or yeah, so I mean it's clear right there in Scripture. Yet again, talking to people about these things is controversial still, even within the church. Alright, so giants existed and were created from celestial beings intermixing with humans. Okay, so verse 1. Now it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. That's pretty straightforward. And Yah said, My Ruach shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants on the earth in those days, okay, Nephilim, okay, right, fallen, okay, Nephilim is means like descended because of their fathers. Their fathers came down and married human women, and these are the children of the angels, of the fallen angels. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of Elohim came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Let's see. Numbers 13. Take a look at that. Okay, I'll just start at verse 31. But the men who had gone up with him said, "We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we." And they gave the children of Yasharel a bad report of the land which they had spied out, saying, "The land through which we have gone as spies is a land that devours its inhabitants." Okay. "And all the people whom we saw in it are men of great stature. There we saw the Nephilim, the giants. The descendants of Anak came from the giants. And we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight." So again, this associates to what Moses wrote in Genesis 6, right? So he said there were giants on the earth in those days and also afterward. Okay, so this is the also afterward. And actually, this whole report, that's what got Yasharel wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. There's you can take a look at Enoch 7, Jubilees chapter 5, Jasher chapter 4, but all these books align and are saying the same thing, that celestial beings intermixed with humans and created their own offspring, and a lot of terribleness came out of all that. Also, actually, there's a portion in Daniel that also brings us up too. I didn't put it on here, but I just thought about it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Come on. Okay, so Daniel 2, when he's explaining Nebuchadnezzar's dream to him, and he's going into the understanding of it. This is verse 43. "As you saw iron mixed with ceramic clay, they will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay. So they will mingle with the seed of men." Okay, again, this is the fallen communicating and again intermixing with humans. Okay, but he's saying that when this starts to happen again, it will be at this point where it says, "As you saw iron mixed with ceramic clay." So that's the feet of the statue, and that also aligns with what Yeshua was saying, as the days of Noah were, so it will be when the Son of Man returns. Okay, so Revelation 21, a literal city will eventually come out of the sky. "Now I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Also there was no more sea. Then I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from Elohim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband." So, New Jerusalem is coming down out of heaven, down to the new earth. And then he goes into the description of the New Jerusalem here. But all that to say, these things are foolishness to carnal-minded people. Okay, so here's a big one. The world does not move. The world is a fixed, flat plane, and our world, as we know it, is actually a closed terrarium. The luminaries and stars move above us according to their own paths that are set for them. Okay, so I'll start with Joshua 10. Okay, we'll take a look at that. Okay, so here the title gives it away. The sun stands still. Not the earth. The sun stands still. So verse 12, then Joshua spoke to Yah in the day when Yah delivered up the Amorites before the children of Yasharel, and he said in the sight of Yasharel, sun, stand still over Gibeon, and moon in the valley of Ajalon. So the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, till the people had revenge upon their enemies. Okay, so he prayed that sun and moon would stop moving. He didn't pray that the earth stand still. He prayed that the sun and moon stop moving. So that right there in itself should tell you that the cosmology of the world that the Most High has created does not add up with what is being taught in schools, in Christian schools, and secular schools alike. Why is that? So, but I mean, there's so many. Well, we'll get into some other ones. But I'm just gonna show some of these passages, and you can take a look at them. These are a bunch of passages that I was actually looking into when I was initially doing a lot of research on this myself. But yeah, those should be helpful. All right, Isaiah 34:4. Okay, so Isaiah 34 verse 4, all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled up like a scroll. All their hosts shall fall down, as a leaf falls from the vine, and as fruit falling from a fig tree. So, if if we're on a ball flying through space, how does the sky roll up like a scroll? If we go back to Genesis, let's see. Then, okay, verse 6, then Elohim said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Okay, so firmament is something of substance. That's why the key word in it is firm. Okay, so the sky is a solid substance. That's what we're being told here. So once you understand that, okay, like I said, this is a closed terrarium that we're in. It's just a really huge one. But with that understanding, it makes more sense of the heavens rolling up like a scroll. And that's reiterated actually in Revelation. So we first saw it, Isaiah was prophesying of it. Now if we go down to John, John sees it also in his vision. So this is Revelation chapter 6. It says, I looked when he opened the sixth seal. Okay, so when Yeshua breaks the sixth seal, this is what's going to happen. And behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood, and the stars of heaven fell to the earth, as a fig tree drops its late figs when it is shaken by a mighty wind. Then the sky receded as a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. So here the sky receded as a scroll. So they saw the same thing. Notice that he said the stars of heaven fell to the earth. Well, the stars, they followed their paths within the firmament. If we go back to Genesis 1, okay, I'm going to go down. Okay, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons and for days and years. So here, I'm trying not to get too much into this, but basically he's telling you that, the stars, the luminaries, they all work together perfectly as it's clock engineering, basically. This is how he created time for us. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth. And it was so. Okay, so he made these things in the firmament. Okay, so that's why when we see in the sixth seal, when it's breaking and the sky is receding, that all these things that were in the firmament are falling out. Okay, and then the last concept I wanted to go over, there's a parallel world that interconnects with this one, in which beings in that world govern and interact with the beings of this world regularly. Okay? Summed up, this is, if people are familiar with the passage where Paul's saying that everything that we see here was created by the unseen. Okay, so we can't see the Most High. He's in the incorruptible realm, all right? But everything in our realm was created by him in that world. Okay, so take a look at Numbers 22. Okay, here, then Yah opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of Yah standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, and he bowed his head and fell flat on his face. So, that angel had been standing there, okay? He was doing what he was told, right? But the Most High opened his eyes so that he could see beyond our regular limitations. So this passage is telling you that we have a limited perspective, literally. Okay, our eyes can only see so much. And so that also makes more sense of, when people are talking about UFOs, oh, I saw something, but it's hard for us to explain it. And it very well could be that we're just not seeing it for all that it truly is. Like maybe we're only able to see a small portion of whatever is coming into our world. Anyway, there's going to be more and more talk about the UFOs and quote-unquote aliens, okay? But keep in mind, this is why it's so important to understand these truths. Okay, I've gone over this in some of the other videos too. But it's so important to understand that you are in a terrarium. You're not flying through space at an unfathomable amount of speed. Okay? Once you understand that, then it limits, or it really gives away and reveals who these quote-unquote aliens really are. Okay? They're of the fallen. So they can only be either angels, or their offspring, Nephilim. So just keep that in mind, because at some point these quote unquote aliens are, I'm definitely expecting them to reveal themselves openly to humans. So once that happens, it's going to immediately create a just an incredible amount of confusion. Everyone's going to have their own ideas, and obviously they're going to say, something, right? Certainly they're not going to tell you, oh, we're the fallen celestial beings that you've been reading about, that the prophets wrote about, and we fell away after the rebellion that we had against the Most High. It's not going to go that way. So whatever they say, people are going to be trying to figure out, can we trust them? If you can, what does that mean and where does that go? And if you can't, how can you say for sure? So the world seems confusing now, and I didn't even get into in all these concepts. I didn't even get into lineages of peoples. Who are the true Jews? Who are the northern tribes? Who are the Gentiles? Who is Edom? All these things are very, very, very controversial. So as the Most High, again, as he's bringing us into himself, and thereby we are beginning to come out of these deceptions, you should expect that you will become more and more of a social pariah in this world. Okay? A hard line is being taken. That's why the world's getting darker. Those who stand for truth are no longer going to be able to hide. Okay, that's where this is going. We will be flushed out, and you will have to stand up for what you believe in. So that's the whole point of going through this list, and just bringing up these concepts that regularly come up in Scripture. I hope that that's encouraging. I don't know if anybody saw. It was a movie, The Giver. That's what it was called. So The Giver was. They did a pretty good job with the movie, but that exact situation happened to him. That's what they portrayed in the movie. There was The Giver. Okay, this guy. These two guys meet every day, and one of them gives, one of them receives, and each day the giver gives the receiver a little bit more of information. All the information is basically classified, so to speak. Nobody else in their society is aware of this information. And so as the receiver continues to gain more information and understanding, it begins to isolate him within the rest of the society. So that's exactly where we're headed. But remember, all these things are temporary, for one. Two, all praises to the Most High, because he is waking up his people, and he is raising us up spiritually right now. And so I'm very, very, very thankful to be coming out of these deceptions. Praise Yah for his mercies. So it's hopefully this is encouraging, but I just wanted you to at least have some understanding about it. If you haven't already thought about this, or it's probably happening, but maybe you didn't think of it at a conscious level. So these are the things to expect. This is why these things are happening. Again, it goes back to 1 Corinthians, that passage where the carnal mind cannot understand spiritual things. So anyway, that's all I got today, fam. Happy Shavuot, happy Festival of Weeks if you guys are celebrating that. All praises to the Most High Yah and to the Lion of Yehuda. Peace.